When it comes to gaming, brands are happy to sell you aesthetics, buzz, and marketing, often at a hefty markup. Gaming chairs and desks, RGB on literally everything, and of course, gaming energy drinks. So it should come as no surprise that headsets have gotten the same treatment. Now, we're not here to spoil anyone's fun, but it's worth asking, do you really need all the features found on gaming headsets? Hi, I'm Alex from Ratings.com, and today we'll break down whether you might be better off with something a little more audiophile. Let's say you're shopping for your next headset. You've got a few tabs open, maybe a couple YouTube videos queued up. Almost every option boasts an app, wireless connectivity, and a handful of features promising a competitive edge. While we've hinted at an alternative, wired, no-frills audiophile headphones, they aren't a one-size-fits-all solution for your gaming needs. It really comes down to your setup, whether you're fine with cables, what platform you're gaming on, and if a mic is a requirement. If you're already picking up what we're putting down, you can skip ahead to this timestamp for our recommendations. Otherwise, stick around. We'll run through some key considerations to help you find the right option for your needs. For purpose-built gaming headsets, wireless is the rule rather than the exception. While most audiophile options stick to wired designs, going wired gives you near universal compatibility across PCs and consoles, but you'll have to contend with more cumbersome cables. It's also worth noting that with consoles, unless you plan on connecting an amp/DAC to your console or splitting the audio from the HDMI signal, your source will most likely be the controller's 3.5mm jack. That means high impedance headphones won't get loud enough, and you'll be at the mercy of the controller's audio hardware, which is usually good enough for most people. Next up, microphones. Gaming today is far more social and socially acceptable. Maybe. That means you'll need a mic if you're planning on making callouts in CS or hanging out with the squad on Discord. Most audiophile headphones don't have a stock microphone, but don't give up hope. There are plenty of low-cost aftermarket options that sidestep the issue. If you're working with a combined audio and mic jack, like the one found on most controllers, you can pick up a mod mic and a splitter, or an aftermarket cable with an integrated microphone. And if you're gaming at a desk and on a PC, you can opt for a high-quality recording microphone so you could whisper insults to your friends instead of yelling them. Finally, let's talk convenience and flexibility. Some wireless gaming headsets, especially those that connect to your phone via Bluetooth, allow for customization of their sound via graphic EQs and presets. This can be particularly useful if you'd like to adjust their sound signature when playing games on a console, though not all headsets retain sound adjustments when you switch connected devices. That said, if you play games on Windows, you can use free software like Equalizer APO to tweak any headphone's sound to your liking. As for versatility, gaming headsets and audiophile headphones each have their strengths. Bluetooth gaming headsets can double as casual listening gear for when you're out touching grass. Meanwhile, audiophile headphones are ideal for kicking back and picking out minute details in your favorite tracks. A bit of a disclaimer. Imaging metrics like stereo matching and group delay are unit dependent, so your experience might differ a little from ours. Alright, enough theory, let's get into some real options. If you're looking to minimize your spend, consider the Superlux HD681. They're often sub $50, and they have solid imaging performance, so spatial cues like footsteps will be rendered accurately. That said, their bright frequency response isn't for everyone. You may find it detailed or harsh depending on your tastes. At this price point, you can expect concessions in construction, and these headphones don't buck the trend. They're comfortable, but they don't feel particularly durable. You could opt for the slightly more expensive Superlux HD681 Evo, which has better build quality, but we don't think there are enough improvements there to justify the extra spend. Instead, we'd recommend checking out either the Philips SHP9500 or the SHP9600. While they are more expensive than the Superlux, both Philips headphones have a sturdier build that incorporates metal components and a padded headband for extra comfort. These open-back headphones also have solid imaging performance. There is some elevated phase response mismatch past 10 kHz, but most people won't notice this as phase issues are less audible at these higher frequencies. In practice, you'll be able to distinguish cinematic sound effects clearly in the stereo image. But neither of the Philips cans have much sub-bass, so don't expect too much in the way of rumbly explosions. Of the two, we'd lean towards the SHP9500, as the bass emphasis on the SHP9600 can compound with their downward tilting mids, muddying already weakened dialogue during busy cutscenes. At this point, keen-eyed viewers might have noticed our picks lean towards open-back headphones, and that's no accident. Many listeners associate open designs with a greater sense of spaciousness or a wider soundstage, the feeling of distance and directionality in what you hear. But soundstage is tricky. It's a phenomenon that's particularly difficult to quantify, especially since perception varies from person to person. And while open backs can enhance your experience, they also typically come with trade-offs. Reduced bass extension, exposure to environmental noise, and more sound leakage. When it comes to the budget category, the options narrow even further. We've tested over 830 headphones, and you'd be hard-pressed to find many audiophile or studio over-ears that are well suited for gaming at this price point. That's where in-ear monitors come in. While you might give up openness and the hope of a wide soundstage, you'll often gain stronger bass and superior passive noise isolation. And even if IEMs aren't the first thing that come to mind for competitive play, they're more viable than you might think. Plenty of top-tier esports pros use them at the highest level, even in games where audio cues are critical to gameplay. A lot of your success ultimately comes down to how well your game's audio engine is implemented and how accustomed you are to its specific sound cues. That said, if you're after a more immersive gaming experience, IEMs could be right for you if you'd prefer to trade openness for more bass rumble. First up, the Truthier X Critical Zero Blue and Red. Both are comfortable, well-built, and stay stable in your ears, and neither show significant issues in imaging metrics like stereo mismatch or group delay, so you'll easily pick up spatial cues. Sound-wise, they're fairly similar. The Blue's sound signature is more V-shaped, with a sub-bass taper and scooped mids, while the Red has a more balanced sound profile. If you're into bass but find the Blue's tuning a bit muddy or unrestrained, the Red includes a 10 ohm adapter that adds a bit more low-end thump while preserving its high bass taper into the mids. Either way, you'll get solid bass reproduction, great for adding realism to in-game explosions. Funnily enough, our next pick, the Truthier Hexa, is from the same brand. They're slightly more balanced than either of the Critical collabs, though some might find their tuning a little less fun compared to more V-shaped options. Still, they're just as comfortable and well built, and perform excellently in our stereo matching tests. The Hexa's balanced sound works well for casual listening and gaming alike, making them a worthwhile upgrade on the Critical collabs. Of course, there's no shortage of well-regarded IEMs in the budget range and beyond. We haven't tested or mentioned all of them, so if you already use IEMs for gaming, which ones did you settle on? Do they get the job done for you? And what do you like about them? Let us know in the comments below. For those with a bit more room in the budget, the mid-range opens up far more viable over-ear options. To start, let's talk about one of the most well-respected headphones in the gaming space, the Beyerdynamic DT990 Pro. These openbacks have solid stereo driver matching, clean group delay performance, and outstanding harmonic distortion results. So footsteps in games like Escape from Tarkov come through clearly, assuming the devs haven't broken the audio engine again. That said, the DT990 Pro's sound signature isn't for everyone. There's a welcome boost in the high bass that helps compensate for a lack of sub-bass, but they also have bright treble with the classic Beyerdynamic peak around 9 kHz that some find fatiguing. While we haven't reviewed the newer and more expensive DT990 Pro X, they supposedly tame the treble compared to the original and are otherwise quite similar. If you're eyeing the DT990 Pro, make sure you grab the 80 ohm variant, which should get loud enough for most people, even when connected to a PS5 or Xbox controller. That said, if you need more headroom to increase your volume, check out the 48 ohm DT990 Pro X. Switching over to another German company, Sennheiser also offers strong gaming options in this price range. That said, most are harder to drive, so you'll have a difficult time using them with just any device. You can power them on consoles if you're willing to go through some shenanigans and set up an amp or a DAC though. First up is the popular Sennheiser HD560S. These 120 ohm open back headphones have a flat sound profile that's arguably more suited for precision than immersion. Like the Truthier Hexa mentioned earlier, they'll provide an accurate representation of positional cues in competitive shooters, but you may prefer something with a more excited sound profile if you play narrative-driven or cinematic games. And sneaking in one purpose-built gaming headset, the Drop PC38X, formerly branded as Drop Plus Sennheiser and Drop Plus Epos. This headset shares a similar tuning to the HD560S, but with a more pronounced treble roll-off, which takes the edge off sibilance and can make percussive soundtracks sound a bit more closed off or warm, depending on your taste. Our unit also had some imaging issues due to mismatched drivers, which caused sound cues to lean left in the stereo field. But as we mentioned earlier, driver matching is tied to quality control, so your mileage may vary, especially now that Drop solely handles the product. There isn't really an upper limit when it comes to audiophile gear pricing, and while we won't suggest picking up the $2,000 Sennheiser HD800S for your nephew's birthday, they are excellent for gaming, in part thanks to their widely respected soundstage, so you could grab them for yourself. Jokes aside, there are plenty of interesting options once you cross the $200 mark. There are a couple of products we haven't had the chance to test yet, but we think they're worth trying out if you have an audio store nearby. The Sennheiser HD550 and the FiiO FT1 Pro. By most accounts, the HD550 are quite similar to the HD560S, and the FiiO FT1 Pro are positioned as an accessible planar magnetic headphone if you're interested in experimenting with a different driver type. Now, back to tested products for our final recommendation. If comfort is a top priority, check out the Sennheiser HD490 Pro. They rank among the comfiest headphones we've tested, with their producing earpads on, rather than their analytical mixing pads. In terms of sound, they hold up well against others on this list too, with strong imaging performance in stereo matching and group delay, so you'll have no problem pinpointing the location of the enemy Iron Man in Marvel Rivals, though whether you dodge his ult is still on you. The HD490 Pro also shine in cinematic heavy games thanks to their solid bass extension and pronounced high bass. And that's it for our audiophile gaming recommendations. It goes without saying that this wasn't an exhaustive list, so if you have a pair of headphones that you love for gaming that we didn't cover, leave a comment. Until next time, I'm Alex from Ratings.com, where we help you find the best product for your needs. Bye! Expensive DT990 Pro X, they supposedly tamed the treble. Had a feeling the haters don't want me to succeed today. They're out for me. Hopefully none of you are in the comments. Just saying.